Hello friends, let's explore AI and those amazing large language models, or LLMs as we call them, a little more today. You know those smart systems that can chat about almost anything? Well, sometimes they need a boost to stay super accurate and up to date, and that's where this cool thing called Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RAG, comes in. It's like giving your smart assistant a quick peek at a fresh notebook before answering your question, so it doesn't just rely on old memories from training. Instead, it pulls in real relevant info from outside sources and weaves it into a spot-on response. Imagine you're asking about the best place for street food nearby. Without RAG, it might guess based on old info, but with it, it checks the latest reviews and spots to say, hey, try the famous noodle market in Bangkok, they've got fresh pad Thai specials today. Let's start with the simplest version, what we call naive RAG. It's like the beginner's guide to this whole setup. It's just two easy steps. First, retrieve some helpful info based on your question, often using something smart like vector search that we'll chat about soon, to grab the best matching bits from a big collection of facts. Then generate your answer by mixing those bits with your question and letting the system cook up a reply. Picture this, you're asking about your favorite new video game console, how long is the warranty on the new Stellar model? It searches the product details, finds up to 2 years covering manufacturing defects, and tells you exactly that, maybe adding, perfect for those intense late-night gaming sessions without worries. As we get a bit more adventurous, there are these advanced RAG tricks that make things even better for tougher questions. Take self-corrective RAG, or iterative RAG. It's like the system double-checking its notes before sharing. It grabs some info, whips up an answer, then takes a second look. Is this complete? Does it match the facts? If not, it tweaks the search, pulls in more details, and tries again. For example, suppose you ask about a major music festival last year. What were the highlights? First try, it might say big-name headliners from a quick note. But then it spots more, like surprise guest appearances and new stages. So it refines and says, actually, the highlights included a special tribute performance by a legendary artist, the debut of a new electronic stage, and a focus on sustainable festival practices. It's like editing a news story to make sure everyone's got the full picture. Another fun one is RAG Fusion, which is perfect for those big fuzzy questions where one angle isn't enough. The system starts by brainstorming a bunch of related mini questions, searches for all of them at the same time, mixes the best bits, and gives you a well-rounded answer. Say you're wondering, should I learn classical guitar? It might think up stuff like, what are the health benefits of practice? How does it improve focus? And what's the cost of lessons and equipment? Then it pulls from music blogs and artist interviews. Graceful finger movements improve dexterity, it sharpens concentration for exams, but remember, a good entry-level guitar and lessons can add up. The final reply? Classical guitar is awesome for staying mentally sharp and expressing emotions through melody, like turning a simple folk tune into a complex piece, but budget for lessons and a quality instrument if you're serious. When the info is more like a family tree showing how everything connects, Graph RAG and Light step in to handle those twisty relationships. Graph RAG uses special setups that map out links, so it can follow paths instead of just grabbing random pieces. Think of your favorite film series. You ask, which actors teamed up with director Christopher Nolan on movies where Hans Zimmer did the music? It starts at Nolan, follows directed to films like Inception or Dunkirk, checks which have Zimmer on the score and lists them out. The answer: actors like Leonardo DiCaprio and Cillian Murphy have worked with Nolan and Zimmer on classic films. They're a powerful trio. This is great for stuff like tracing historical events or even corporate family trees. Light RAG is a more advanced approach that combines the best of both worlds. It doesn't just rely on following a single path like GraphRag. Instead, it uses a dual retrieval process. First, it performs a broad high-level search to understand the main concepts of your question, e.g. Renaissance art. Then it conducts a second, more detailed search to find specific entities related to those concepts, e.g. Leonardo da Vinci, Mona Lisa. This dual-level approach allows it to be more efficient and accurate than a simple GraphRag, which might get bogged down following a long, complex chain. The answer you get is both broad and precise. For example, you could ask what are the connections between Renaissance art and modern painting. Light RAG would first understand Renaissance art and modern painting as key concepts, then find the specific entities that bridge them, like the use of perspective or the evolution of portraiture, to give you a comprehensive answer. Okay, let's talk about the magic behind a lot of this retrieval, vector search. It's not about hunting for exact words like in an old school book. It's about understanding the real meaning, like how a good neighbor gets what you're saying even if you mix up words. Here's the easy breakdown. First, everything, stories, pictures, even songs, gets turned into these number lists called vectors, like coordinates on a giant map. Stuff with similar vibes ends up close together, so spicy noodle soup is near tasty ramen, but far from chocolate cake. When you ask something like fun ways to celebrate a summer holiday, it makes a vector for that too, and searches for the closest spots on the map, pulling back ideas like water activities at the beach or backyard barbecue with friends. It's super quick, even with a zillion things to check, and it's what makes RAG feel so natural and helpful in pulling the right info for better answers. Of course, like any fun exploration, RAG has its sunny sides and a few bumps. The great part? It stops the system from dreaming up fake facts by sticking to real pulled info. Think of it as showing your sources in a school project, which makes you trust it more. You can add new stuff anytime, like updating a recipe book, without rebuilding the whole system from scratch, saving time and effort. But it can get a tad tricky to set up, and if the search grabs the wrong thing, like mistaking Apple the company for Apple the fruit, the answer might wobble. It takes a smidge longer than a plain chat, and figuring out how to chop info into perfect pieces for searching is like puzzles, fun but needs practice. Sometimes it pulls mixed messages, but for everyday wins like festival tips or sports stats, it's a total game changer. Vector search itself? It's a star for getting the heart of what you mean, not just letters, and it handles all sorts like words mixed with photos, say searching easy DIY art project ideas and getting crafts with bright images. It's fast and grows with tons of stuff, but it needs some setup muscle for huge maps, and those number vectors are like secret codes, not super easy to read yourself. You tweak it to fit, like adjusting a tennis racket grip, and while it's spot on most times, it's about the closest match, not always perfect. Still, for powering up smart systems, from finding lost recipe ideas to planning travel itineraries, it's the spark that keeps things exciting and useful.